okay. Tongue-tied and afraid. The big things stay the same, and you just say little changes.
Look at the choreography here. All right, Frank Turner bringing his popular Lost Evenings event to the city for its 7th go-round. It's a carefully curated group of performances spanning several days. It's been held in cities like London, Boston, and Berlin. Toronto, though, is the latest stop. Frank Turner, welcome back to CP24 Breakfast. Good to see you again this year.
Lovely to see you too. Thanks for having me back.
And Frank, what I love about this is this time last year, you and I were talking, and you said, my goal is to get Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
And you've got that goal, Henry Rollins, tomorrow night. Talk about this.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to the music of Black Flag, Henry's original band, and he was actually booked to play the 2020 Lost Evenings, which didn't happen because of the pandemic. And I'd sort of assumed that that was the bust at that point and we weren't going to hear from him again. And his people got in touch and were like, when are we doing this? And it was like, oh, wow. So I'm very excited about it. I'm quite nervous as well because, among other things, I'm going to be interviewing him on stage as a separate part of the event tomorrow.
So tell me about the preparation for that, Frank, because beyond preparing Lost Evenings and the tour and the different days and all the various sides to that, this must be taking up a lot of your headspace.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people ask me how long have you been preparing for this, and it's like, well, since I was about 12. But no, I've been doing a lot of prep, and I hope to equip myself well. It's also worth saying about Henry, like every year, as noted, Lost Evenings is in a different city, and it's sort of an ambition of mine to have a local bill, should we say. So I was going for an all-Canadian lineup because we have 2 stages. I think we have about 40 bands playing over the weekend. And I wanted to have a 100% Canadian lineup. The exception is Henry Rollins, but I think he gets a pass.
Yeah. We'll definitely we'll make him an honorary Canadian for the night. I mean, Martha Wainwright, Bedouin Soundclash, so many acts coming here. So how do you curate that? I mean, because that means you need to pay attention effectively to global music and know what acts are going to draw your audience here.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of different sort of directives that goes into booking the bill, but I think it's important to stress that I'm not really the one who does the work. I'm the one who, I lie on a chaise longue and I have ideas and I feed them to my team and they roll their eyes and then they do the work. But funnily enough, actually, growing up in the 90s, before the internet.
I remember.
Growing up in the UK and particularly being into kind of alternative and left of the dial music, I couldn't really distinguish between American and Canadian bands, like they were just from over there. And then as I got a little older and found out more and the internet was invented and all the rest of it, I did discover that tons of my favorite bands are Canadian. And I just seem to have a Canadian taste in music, you know? Propaganda, The Weekendans, Godspeed You Black Emperor, Joel Plaskett, all this kind of stuff. It's all Canadian bands.
And you know, Canada, I think we've been talking about, you know, the SoCan right now and Drake and Arkells and other bands, you know, of course, Sarah McLachlan getting a stamp. What is it, do you think, about music in Canada that's got a unique sound? Because there used to be this knock, oh, it's just like American music, but it's not. And you've clearly noticed the distinction there.
Well, I mean, I can't quite put my finger on it. And it was, like I say, it was kind of a weird surprise to me to realize. I do think there's a very supportive vibe about music in this country, which is different to what it is in America and in the UK as well. There's definitely a sort of sense of people.
We kind of own it. We love it, right?
Yeah, you know, and it just sort of seems like there's a lot of kind of pride in Canadian music, which I think is really admirable. You mentioned the Arkells. We've toured with those guys. They're old friends of ours. Some of them might be coming to Lost Evenings. I mean, I probably shouldn't and can't comment on that right now.
Okay, all right. Well, Max Kerman has been on this couch, and those interviews go sideways because he's such a character. But Frank, let's talk more about Lost Evenings. For someone who may have just been hearing about this, you know, didn't see us chatting about this last year or didn't see it the last several years here, what's your pitch? How do you explain what goes on?
Well, it's. I mean, friends of mine sarcastically refer to it as Me Fest, but more to the point, I mean, it's a celebration of music and the arts, and there's a charity and activist angle to it as well. It started in 2017 in London. You know, in London I can play kind of 15,000 capacity venues or whatever, but it's like it was like, well, let's do 4 nights at a 3,000 capacity venue and have different people playing. And then I was walking around the venue and I was like, we could put another stage there and have more bands because I love bands. And you know, it just sort of spiraled into this mini festival idea. And the first year we had no idea what we were doing. And to everyone's surprise, it went pretty well.
Yeah.
There were teething problems. I will never forget, about 20 minutes before doors opened on the first day of a 4-day festival, we were all sat in the production office feeling pretty pleased with ourselves about how well it was going, and somebody just went, wristbands. We don't have any.
Oh my
no one's
gosh.
thought about wristbands, and some poor intern kid was sent to a local party supply store to buy 12,000 wristbands and did it.
Yeah,
and we got through it. So we're a lot better oiled as a machine.
It's a
now.
well-oiled machine now. Hey, Frank Turner, good luck with Lost Evenings. Always
Hey,
a pleasure to see you.
thank you so much,
Thanks so
man.
much. Sounds
Yeah.
like an amazing weekend of events.
Thank you very
very
much
much for being here again.